everybody, Gina DeLuca here. All right, in full experiment mode today. I'm gonna have some fun with some paints. And let's see, we have first the TriArt Liquid Mirror. This paint is absolutely stunning in a pour. A little bit goes a long way. I know I got some messages from folks about how expensive it is. Compare the prices that you see on Amazon to Fluid Art Company. They typically have a very, very good price on this, as well as the Amsterdam paints. And the TriArt Liquid Mirror, it is not like a typical metallic. The result that I got, I used it, you know, like as a cloud pour, but it is not like a typical silver. The sheen on this is crazy. This is not varnished yet. This is how shimmery it is, not varnished. And you know, when you use Floetrol, how it makes everything look dull. Even metallics don't have much of a sheen until you put the varnish on. This is not varnished yet. What is this gonna look like when it's varnished? I cannot wait to find out. Up next, we have this little piggy pigment in Persephone. This is one of my favorite colors from any paint line or pigment line. I love this color so much. And we have Bloodstone, this beautiful, beautiful brown. For the background slash base coat, I started with some Amsterdam titanium white and the Dyke brown, but it felt too cool for me when I looked at it next to these other colors. So I added some burnt umber to change the temperature of it a bit. This is Artist Loft Burnt Umber. The pigments have been mixed by taking some JoSonja varnish, some JoSonja varnish, gloss varnish I have here, put it in the bottom of the cup while wearing a mask, add the pigment to that. It only takes a little bit to dissolve the pigment. And then to that I added some golden regular gel matte and mixed that together until it was like the consistency of like a heavy body tube paint. And then I added about 3 parts Floetrol to that. I did the same with the liquid mirror. That is at least the 3 parts Floetrol to 1 part paint. That stuff is very, very concentrated and it goes a long way. Same with the pigments. The pigments go a long way too. The base coat slash background has been mixed 1 part paint to 2 parts Floetrol, and then I thin it with some water until I get the consistency that I am looking for, which is, this is about a 2 on my consistency scale. It makes a mound, but it disappears quickly. And it is making a nice, thin, even stream off of my stick. If your paint is getting thick and then thin and thick again, your consistency is inconsistent and you need to mix some more. Before we get started, have you seen the Fluid Art inspiration cards? If you have, you can fast forward about a minute. But if you have not, what we have are 52 cards. There are 42 technique cards, and each technique card has an associated video here on YouTube that gives you the exact paint brand, color, the consistency, the recipe, all the things that I can't fit onto a card. This is a picture of the painting in that video. This box contains a tip for this particular technique, and here at the bottom you have the color palette that was used in that painting. And these 2 boxes can be used together as the basis of a 2-color palette. You can build off of those colors as well. And there are 8 bonus color palette cards. Each one has 5 color palettes. You can use all of the colors or just some of the colors. Mix and match the bonus color palette cards with the technique cards, and you have more combinations than you could ever paint in a lifetime. These are available at my website, ginadeluca.net, and also at amazon.com. All right, let's lay down a base coat. You will notice that I have already covered my edges. I do that for a couple of reasons. A, I mix pretty thin and I'm using Floetrol. That does not necessarily give the best coverage on the sides. So what can happen is you just get very thin coverage on the sides of your canvas and it doesn't look as pretty as the top. And then you have to go back and paint it or fix it. When you're using a custom color like this is, it is that much harder to color match. So it is easier to just cover the sides first so that you know, regardless of what sticks or what doesn't stick, it's still going to look pretty. The reason that we lay down a base coat is because we want the paint to slide around evenly and easily. And if you don't put a base coat down, something has to stick to the canvas first. And it is going to be your pour puddle. And sometimes the coolest stuff happens on the edges of your poured puddle. But that will disappear because that is going to stick to the canvas and the center of your puddle is going to roll over top of it. So this gives me more options when it comes to my composition. Also, I use a color for my base coat that is a color in my painting. And the reason that I do that is because A, if I wanted some negative space, I am already set up for that. No adjustments needed. But also, you'll see these bubbles in the base coat. They will come up through your pour. You pop them before you pour, but you never get all of them. So what happens is they pop up through your pour and you wind up with little teeny tiny pinhead sized cells. And if I were using white and there was no white in this painting, and then I see all these little teeny tiny white cells, it drives me crazy. And I feel like I need to go do something about that and fix it. And now I'm color matching and I'm touching up. This just eliminates having to do that. Okay, you know what I didn't do? Typically, oh geez, I probably did it to myself. Usually, I do 2 ounces in my cup first, and to make sure that I have enough. And I did not do that this time, and I sold myself a little bit short, which is why I do that. My head is in another place today. All right. I am going to pour from up high? Do I want layers? What do I want? I'm going to pour from up high. Let's do this straight pour style and see what happens. Okay, that was the Bloodstone. This is the Persephone. And be sure to check your consistency before adding it to your cup. The sauce may thicken upon standing. The way that I choose my order, whatever color I put in last, from the pouring up high situation, whatever color I put in last, a little bit of that seems to end up at the bottom of the cup, and that kind of becomes what the focal point, because that's what comes out last. So I try to keep the most contrast between the base coat color and whatever goes in last. So that would be this color. So I'm gonna pour from up high. I mean, honestly, regardless of what kind of cell reactions I might get here, these colors I just know are going to look so good together. All right, going to try to get enough of this hopefully I have enough in here to cover this, at least a bit. This is why you always put your pour paint in before you base coat, because I could always stretch this base coat out more, and I knew I put too much on because it just covered so easily. So, oh well, you know, we all have those days. Okay, on the last painting, I did a moving straight pour, but I did a kind of wiggly, kind of pleated pour, and got a very reptilian looking pattern. So I'm gonna see if I can make that happen again. And if not, it'll still look cool, I'm guessing. Let's make a mess, shall we? I am waiting for that white to come out. Hoping it comes out. Oh, is it coming? Is it coming? Oh, I think I see it. Oh, if I had not messed up that dismount. That looks like a person. Oh, I just lost my light. I think sometimes it gets too hot and goes off. Sorry about that. Ugh. Oh, that breaks my heart. It'll probably change anyway. That just seems to happen. Because I'm going for cells here, so. But it looked like a woman from the back in a ponytail and like a blanket or something. Anyhow. Popping the bubbles. It's going to be very interesting to see how these play out. I'm going to let it sit for a bit, and if any cells develop, they will grow, because that liquid glass has a very hydrophobic effect, and it is pushing the other paints away. So as I pop these bubbles, it is bringing up paint from underneath. And if the paint that is coming up is more matte than the paint that is surrounding it, it will push that other paint away and you get these cells that develop. But the reason that I let them develop first is so that I can stretch them out and make them bigger. They would probably pop up regardless if I just stretched this out, but it would probably be more like pearl cells, and I like stretching those cells and getting very funky, organic, boulder like things going on. When you start your torch, it is best to start it away from your canvas. That first blast is pretty hot, and you can scorch your painting that way. All right, ooh, starting to go over the side here. I don't want that, not while I'm not in charge of it. All right, so I'm gonna give one more pop here. I went off to find something to use as a corner getter because I don't want to lose this top here. I guess I see that as the top because I just, yeah, it appears that way. So let's be very patient. And actually, I do want to make sure that my sides are still wet with a base coat, because the paint will not slide across the sides as easily if it starts to dry or set up on you. And another thing you can do even is kind of touch up the corners. Usually I save some paint for that, but I was very naughty, forgetful. Okay, let's try this again, but it actually seems to be wanting to go this way first, so that's what we'll do. I'm just gonna listen to what the paint says. I don't like that it was leaning to one side. That means that it was not level, even though I leveled it. Sometimes when you spray it, I'm gonna have to lose some. Ah, humbug. I didn't want bikini corners. That's okay. It's okay. I got this. I got this. Ooh, I'm having an off day, y'all. We all have them. It's okay. I try to bring the paint a little more back to center before I hit the other direction. See, I told you it would be okay. That's going to get stretched out so much. And that was the end of the cup. That winds up, for some reason, winds up becoming the focal point. Ooh, hold on. I am needing to recenter. The weight of my paint was not in the center. That is going to be where the paint is moving the fastest. And if you are mindful of where that is, you can have a lot more control over your composition. Again, I'm just trying to let the paint make its way, the weight of the paint. Okay. And you'll see I'm kind of tilting the paint back to toward the center again instead of straight across. That helps a bit to maintain the original composition. Touch up these sides or the corners so it slides a little easier. All right. And there is definitely enough paint on this canvas that I can afford to lose some sections in the name of composition. See if I deem that necessary. So now I'm going to try to bring that middle section that got stretched way to the bottom a little more aligned instead of pulled in one direction. This kind of canvas is probably one of the trickier shapes to tilt and stretch. I see schmutz. Just because it is so oblong. Oh dear. That looks like a giant schmutz. What is happening? Oh, got it. Okay, I am going to let this sit and see what happens, see if more cells develop, see what it does, and I will bring you in for a close-up. Back in a few. Okay, here it is. Let's see if I can show any of this shimmer. It never really shows up very well. But this is the liquid mirror, so the parts that are white are going to be super, super shiny. And I think they're probably going to look like wet rocks. And at least in my mind, in this area, I see a bunch of fish. They look like a bunch of fish swimming in a direction. Can you see the fish? Got some wild looking cells in this one. Very Rorschach test worthy. And then down to the brown. And that area is going to be beautiful. I was kind of looking at it like, this is the waterfall. These are the fish swimming, and these are like the rocks with the water. I don't know what kind of water they'd be swimming in. It looks like that. Maybe just like a red fish. Some kind of... I don't know what fish would be that color. Koi. Maybe it's a bunch of koi. There you go. But I do love these colors together. So I'll be very interested to see how this dries and how it would look varnished, because the piggies always come back to life once they're varnished. And I am super excited to have this much Persephone showing up in a painting, because a lot of times when I do straight pours with Persephone, I just get it in between the cells. And a lot of it showed up in this painting. And since it's one of my favorite colors, that makes me very, very happy. But there it is. I hope you liked, I hope you enjoyed, I hope you learned something. If you did, please do like, share, subscribe, all those good things. Help me get back in the algorithm. Do check out the description box below for links to my PayPal tip jar if you feel so inclined. My website, GinaDeLuca.net, where you can find my art and music and the fluid art inspiration cards for sale. Also, if you are subscribed and you are not getting notifications, make sure that you have clicked the bell and that you have selected to be notified of all notifications. And if it is already selected, maybe unselect it and select it again, because this is some crazy stuff when you have 165,000 subscribers and you can barely get 1,000 views. Something is amiss. But what else? What else is there? The description box. Oh, you'll find the links to my affiliates and some coupon codes. My affiliates being Fluid Art Company, where you can get these amazing pigments and the liquid mirror and Amsterdam paints and the JoSonja varnish. Almost everything I used in here was from Fluid Art Company today. And you will also find the link to our Facebook group, Go Make Some Art. Join us there. Post your masterpieces. Ask your questions. A good time is had by most. It is the internet after all. That just looks so cool. That liquid mirror is going to be amazing. All right. I think that's it for me for today. I'm sure I'm forgetting something. I typically do, because, you know, it's kind of how this girl rolls. Oh, is that a face? Did I take my meds this morning? I'm so distracted. All right, that's it for me for today, y'all. I hope you have a beautiful day. Go make some art.